to, but like, what are the major pumpamentals for the different tokens within liquid loans?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing I would have as a takeaway is there's plenty of yield production opportunities within the protocol itself. So just by using the protocol, it opens you up to yield potential, and I think it's pretty safe yield opportunity. So if you go and buy the loan token, so let's just say you don't participate in any of the lending or anything, you just go and buy on the market, you go buy some loan token, or you've gone into a sacrifice and someone gives you an airdrop of some loan token. You could go park that in the loan staking. There's no risk of losing that loan token. There's no risk of dropping your token count, but it will get a yield paid in USDL and Pulse. And where does that yield come from? It comes from the fees of the system being used by other people. So whenever they take a loan or a redemption, those fees go to that holder. So that's a pretty low risk yield opportunity. You're not exposed to impermanent loss in DEX pools or anything like that. Pretty simple.
I'm going to throw a banger in here real quick. So what you said, I know it has nothing to do with Celsius, but I remember after Celsius failed, reading that they were basically paying the last week's revenue and stuff. It was like 80-20 or whatever. They're paying it to the stakers, right? And when you said it depends on how much people are using the system, I just want to ask too, what if there's not a lot of people using the system? Like what is there any risk? How does that affect liquid loans if not a lot of people are using it, for example, worst case?
Yeah. Oh, look, let's face it. Adoption is key for anything. So if people aren't depositing funds and minting USDL, then there's no fees generated in the system. So that's why you need to look at the system as a whole and all the different feedback loops. I guess what I was trying to do is just keep it simple and break down the various components, and then we'll go back and we'll tie it all together, and you'll see how all feedback loops.
Yeah. Again, not conflating the two whatsoever. Celsius, not liquid. I'm just curious, like that made me think for a second. I'm very interested to see if adoption is slow at first and things like that, how that plays into the system and how the feedback loop works. So,
all right. So let's step through that then. So I said, I'm actually going from the very final component and working my way back through to the beginning, which is we'll see if that experiment works this time or not. But I just wanted to try and keep it simple. Okay. Sure. So we understand now how staking the loan token works and how you can get a yield from that. Well, how do you get the loan token in the first place? So you can either buy it on market, like I just mentioned. You may have sacrificed and you may get an airdrop, or you can deposit stablecoin into the stability pool. What does that do? If you've got funds deposited in the stability pool, and that's only the stablecoin. So once again, you could go buy the stablecoin from a DEX, get $500 worth of USDL and put it into the stability pool. What do you get for that? Well, you get a drip feed of loan token coming to you, and this is not an incentive token with no value, because that loan token I just told you can go put into the staking pool and actually generate a yield. So that's
an important piece.
Yeah, it's an important piece. So it will have it's yield generating for your USDL because you're getting given this token that hopefully has a lot of value about it. But then you can take that very token you're given and go earn more yield on it. What does the stability pool actually do? If you put funds into the stability pool, yes, you get that loan token given to you, but it's also providing an important service for the protocol, which is underpinning the situation where someone leaves their vault in a risky state and it needs to be liquidated. So let's just say someone takes out a loan and they do it at an unsafe level, neglect it, don't ever look after it, and the system has to close that out to stay solvent. So what it does is it takes some funds from the stability pool, pays out the debt on that vault, and releases the collateral back to the stability pool providers. So if you're in the stability pool, you actually get discounted pulse. Okay, so if someone's misusing the system, you'll get discounted pulse, plus you'll get the yield of the the loan token. So they're both pretty risk-free ways to earn yield within the system. Now, the true magic in the system is obviously the lending and the minting of the USDL, so bringing the stablecoin into existence. And so how does that work? You let's say you hold some Pulse, it goes up in value, and you go, you know what, I'd like to take a little bit of value out of the Pulse. You don't have to sell it on market. You can put it into a vault, take a loan of your choosing, however much you want to take out, be as conservative or as risky as you like, depending on what your game plan is. There is game plan. There's game theory in that saying, I want to take it at the most possible risk, and it acts as a stop loss. So if you want to hear more about that, Jesse's done numerous streams on how you can use it as a stop loss.
Well, stop loss, and just what comes to mind, if people are okay defaulting on it, wouldn't they take a lower collateral position if they plan on defaulting on it, for example?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you plan to default on it because that is part of your stop loss strategy, that's viable. So the system will get used for that, no doubt. But our hope is it gets used for a lot of different ranges, that being probably one of the minor ones. But hey, it is a good system if you're riding a pump up and you want to take a bit of profit out, but you're not sure whether the market's going to keep going. That's a pretty good option to do, because you can release the value, and if the market keeps going up, you can just keep extracting more value, and you haven't market sold your Pulse. That's the important thing. Okay, so you've got the value out, and you haven't had to dump it on the DEX to extract that value. What's happened is the people that are providing in the stability pool, they'll pick up your Pulse at a discount. Okay, but you've done really well anyway. You've exited, and the prices kept going up. So that's a very viable use for it. The other side of the equation is you've got Pulse that you want to hold on to, and it's long-term Pulse. It's gone up. So what did we say? Someone said it might go up 100x or 10,000x. Look, let's hope it does.
That's speculation.
Let's hope it does. And if it goes up to 10,000x, you can put Pulse into the system and extract out at a very, very safe level USDL in value. So you can actually pull out dollar value without having to sell your Pulse down. So if you want to be a long-term holder, but you want to release some capital to do things, or live, or put it into something else, you can do that. You've got an option.
Okay.
All these things, you can give everyone the tools. They've got to be responsible in how they use them. Any tool can be misused. So I'll say that now if you go in and provide liquidity on crazy pairs, you'll get walloped with impermanent loss because you haven't understood how that tool works or used it correctly. So that looked really cool. Your pool thing actually came up on your.
I saw it. Yeah, yeah. I saw it a couple times. I'm like, this is nice, actually.
So like everything, understand what you're using. The same goes for Hex. If you go bang out a 10-year stake and then end it a year into it,
3 days later,
wallet. Yeah, we see people do that because they just don't read the rules. They don't understand how it works. So this is just a tool like any other tool. Make sure you use it the right way.
So is it the pumpamentals, as far as the appreciation, is it a lot of positive feedback loops and adoption for the system, or what's going to make the token, like loan and what's the other token? I'm not blanking on this.
Yeah, so you got obviously the Pulse is the collateral token that goes into the system. That's external, obviously, to the protocol. Then you've got USDL, which is the stable coin. Yeah, and then you've got loan, which is the yield generating token of the system. So any value that's captured in the system. So, like I said, Pulse runs up 100x, 10,000x. Happy days for everyone. They're now in a position where they can extract some value. If they put funds into the system and they're taking loans, that generates fees for the USDL holders. So they get given Pulse or USDL, depending on whether it's a loan or a redemption. What do they do with those funds that are generated out of there? Well, they can go buy more Pulse, they can go buy more Hex, so that feeds back around into the system. So that's one feedback loop there. You can do simple things where you pulse. So if anyone's familiar with the haunted strategy, which has been doing the rounds a lot, I know everyone's seen that. If they've been in the Liquid Loans Telegram group, they've more than likely come across that. It's one pretty cool strategy. Obviously, needs to be used safely.
Tell us about that.
So the haunted strategy runs something like this: you put in some Pulse as collateral, you extract value out at a 1,000% collateral ratio. So what that means is you can withstand a market drop of about 90%. Okay. And people go, well, we've just seen the market drop 90%. Yeah, we have, but it's also taken 6 or 8 months to do that. So we rarely see markets drop bang down 90%. So you've got 6 or 8 months to deal with your position in there and shore it up. So it's we think that's a pretty safe collateral ratio to be doing this sort of strategy with. And that's one where you deposit some Pulse, and every time the value of your Pulse goes up 10%, you extract a little bit more value and you go buy more Pulse with it. So what does that do? Well, if people are doing that, then they're buying more Pulse on market, pushes the price of Pulse up, your collateral value is increasing. So that's a strategy that can be used not just to keep acquiring more Pulse, because that is, whilst we're doing it at 1,000% collateral, there is still some risk to that, because every time you extract the value, you're putting it back into Pulse. So you've just got to be mindful that you are using the value you've extracted.
Yeah.
Now, how's another way that can be used? Okay, same. If you use the haunted concept, that can play out into a lot of other different things. So once again, you deposit your Pulse, you take out a collateral ratio of 1,000%, and this time, instead of buying more Pulse, you keep the USDL and you put it into the stability pool. So now you're earning yield, and if for whatever reason the price of Pulse does start to drop, you can grab out your USDL and pay back your loan. So you can offset the risk that way.